Today we get up to the draft and do our final draft preview here in our Rockies franchise. But before we do that, I do want to take a look at kind of just the state of our prospects in general. And the first guy we're going to look at is Jose Berto. He is the highest overall player and probably the soonest to get the call up. Now, he is on a hot streak. If you were there for the stream that we did for the last episode, at one point he had his ERA well above 5, but a hot streak here, and he's gotten himself back in a really reasonable range for him in terms of ERA and whip. Still not, excellent by any means, but that cold streak certainly hurt his hits per 9. And it's been a while since we've hopped in and seen Berto pitch, so let's do that now. So let's hop into this Jose Berto start. And for those of you who didn't catch the post, I have been sick this week, and the fact that it's been several days since we have uploaded, but I'm excited to hop back into it. My voice still isn't quite 100% back, so probably have to cut up this portion of the episode into multiple recording sessions, as I can only go about 10 to 15 minutes right now before talking gets hard. But a great start here for Berto. Start striking out the first 2 batters. Bring up number 3 and a pop-up here. We'll make it a clean inning for Jose, just like we wanted to start. Also, when this comes out, it will be NFL Draft Day. So happy NFL Draft Day to those who celebrate. It is my favorite day of the year. Another strikeout, already 3 on the board for Berto. 4 up, 4 down so far. And gloved over at third, make it 5 up, 5 down. Excellent start for Berto. Scott up next, and a full count pitch is low. So that walk will be the first base runner of the game for the Express. Bannon up after that, gets it just down in left field. That'll put runners on the corners. Express starting to get something going here in the second, and a walk there will load the bases. He got the first 5 outs consecutively, but can't seem to find the 6th out. Mateo, well hit to right center field. That one's going to get down for extra bases. Could even clear the base pass, and it does. A base clearing 3-run double from the 9-hitter. What is up with this? He got the first 5 outs. Looked like he was going to have an insane game, and then he allows 3 runs out of nowhere. Into the third now. Tapper over to second. Isn't gloved cleanly, so the struggles continue into the third to start it off. Espinal will ground into a double play. Very much so needed. Needed to have something positive happen in the field. Hopefully that can get Berto's confidence back up, because the man that we saw in the first 5 outs has not been the same man we've seen since. Montero will make his way into foul territory, glove it, so no harm, no foul done in the third. Just the leadoff single there. Back up in the fourth. Walcott got a big hold of this one. It is up off the wall. Another extra base hit given up to lead off the fourth. Looking like it's going to be another struggling game from one of our starting pitchers. It just seems like we see it so often. That'll be a fly out to right, but it will advance the runner to third. Sacrifice fly territory to give up runner number 4 so far. Bannon lifts it to shortstop, and with his momentum going backwards, could be taggable, but runner holds. I probably would have tried to tag there, if I'm being honest. That one was missed right over the middle, but Benny Montgomery able to glove it. He's given up 3 runs, and we haven't even gotten a hit, which is just lovely. But it honestly could be even worse. And speaking of, Mateo, the 9-hitter, has had a 3-run base-clearing double and a home run. We can't retire the 9-hitter right now, man. What's going on with Jose Berto? After a rough start, he was starting to get things back on track, but this is looking like the guy that's been pitching for most of the year at AAA so far. I was really hoping he could be somebody that could come up in September, be a guy that we could count on to be the best pitcher on the squad some point very soon. But what am I looking at here? Looking at a great strikeout there for the second out. He's got some really nice strikeouts, had most of them at the start of this game. Remember when he struck out 3 of the first 4 batters? I do. Feels like a whole entire game ago, but that was this very same game. 4 runs allowed, 5 hits for Berto. That would end his day. 5 innings pitched, not very good. So let's now transition to the AA, where we're going to do something that I haven't done since episode 1. We're going to watch a full game of AA. That's right. Not technically a full day, a full game. We're only going to watch the at-bats from the players that we have drafted here in the series. But that's still, over half of the at-bats. We're going to watch all the pitching as well. I haven't really taken a look at Brennan yet in this series, despite the fact having himself a really good year down there. I've kind of penciled him in as a long reliever due to his stamina. But I mean, if he can pitch really well, then he can still earn himself a spot in those starting positions. He'll just maybe not be the guy that can always go deep into these games. Here you go, Carlos Cortez. Drafted him last season, and he's leading off for us here with a ground out. Having a pretty decent season, batting in the 270s, though, the high 270s. Clemente Herrera, his batting average, not quite where I wanted it to be, with both of his contact in the 70s. Good play skills, too. Hitting below 260 was not my expectation. He, like Berto, was somebody that I was really banking on a short time in the minors. They're just not having the seasons that I was hoping they would so far. Here as Dorsey, hitting well above 300. His contact numbers have been insane. There he grounds out there. A 1-2-3 inning for the offense to start. Brennan with a fly out here to Brian Doe to start inning number 2. 4 up, 4 down so far. Much like the start we saw from Berto. Hopefully he can keep it going. As he gets a full count ground out there. And then a strikeout on the next guy. 2 great innings so far for Brennan. Brian Doe up next. Pops it right in front of the plate for the 4th out, and that'll put us right back to the pitching, as the guys after Doe are not guys that we drafted. Brennan with another fly out here. He's forcing a lot of these weak fly balls to start, but I kind of like Brennan. He throws one of the hardest fastballs we see on the squad, and he's using that to get these soft contact fly balls. It's happening pretty much every at-bat at this point, this entire inning. 3 straight fly balls. But so far, so good. 3 shutouts. Innings 4. Johnny Brennan. Raymond Park up to the plate, and finally we see some offense. That one struck well. Park in his 2nd year with the squad. Last year was playing single A up into the 60s, now giving him a shot at AA. Not hitting so well this year. got on the board there. Cortez up to end the third, and he flies out. So we're back to Johnny Brennan here, top of the fourth, and he's given up a run. The theme of this franchise series is our pitchers giving up home runs, and I knew that would be the case. We're playing a Rockies franchise, but the problem is 90% of the time we're allowing these home runs, it's not in Colorado. Lozano there taking Brennan Yard to even this game at 1 apiece. Liner there over to first. To Rob Frias of a hit, and now McCain will get another fly out over to center. Outfielders getting heavily involved so far in this game, and now this one to fly territory will be handled at first base. So apart from one home run, Brennan doing an excellent job of keeping things lazily hit in the yard. Herrera will strike out, getting caught chasing the slider outside, and Dorsey gets himself a free base via a walk. And Brian Doe do something here for us. And why is Neil Dorsey trying to steal a bag? The dude has 14 speed. Brian Doe cuts this one right up the middle on the full count pitch, so he gets aboard. Up with the pitching once more, Brennan. This time not hit quite as softly, but still hit right at the outfielder. Cortez gloves, his 5th or 6th ball already in this game, and here he gets another. Brennan full count once more. This one will drop in fair, and it's going to be an automatic double going over the wall. Thought and hoped it might have gone foul, but no harm, no foul as he strikes out the next guy to end the 5th. Johnny Brennan looking really good. Raymond Park will not be out, as that throw will pull the first baseman off the bag, and Raymond Park will get on base once more. Cortez, little bloop single. That should pick up an RBI for him. The throw from left field is inaccurate, so Raymond Park scores a run. The 3rd of the game for our Hartford Yard Goats. Park so far impressing. Couple of hits and a run. Cortez with an RBI. Herrera soft tapper. That's going to be a double play with the tag at 3rd. And the 5th is over. Monte Herrera, man. Not playing as well as I would hope, contact-wise at the very least. Lazy fly once more, this time in the infield. Followed up by a grounder to Park. 2 up, 2 down in the 6th. Brennan. So far, really just that home run. And apart from that, he has just been tearing through this lineup. Despite that fact, though, his stamina, even on a very strong performance like this, I feel like he's got to be done after 6. Neil Dorsey will ground out for the 2nd time in this game. Brian Doe draws himself a walk. Always love to see him do that with his struggles with his play skills. Up into the 7th. Johnny Brennan would come out once more. Thought he should be done after 6, and this is why. Even when he's playing well, the stamina doesn't really allow him to go very deep in these games. His energy is already out. That's when you start to see some of these big-time hits. So the leadoff double there will be followed by another fly out, but it puts a man in scoring position for Narvaez, who gets it into right field. Clemente Herrera will make the throw to second to hold the runner, but 2nd run given up. That will end the day for Brennan. Really thought he shouldn't have come out for the 7th at all. But hey, I'm not the decision maker in these games. Raymond Park having a good day so far, but here he's going to fly out to right. Top of the order up for one more time through the order. Cortez, not quite going to get that one to fall. So not the greatest day for him, but Herrera having a worse day here. That one drops in. Of all the pitches he could get a hit on today, that was the one he chose. Jammed well inside the zone, somehow got it to fall. But unfortunately, Neil Dorsey would follow that up with his third grounder of the day. This one, a double play. But we've got one more stretch of action to see. Dusty Coleman on the mound here in the ninth, trying to get the save. Another guy we just drafted. Has decent enough potential for the bullpen. High C, which could certainly land him a role there eventually. So far, though, starting out his Rockies career as our Double-A closer, doing pretty well in that role so far. Gets out number one, and much like with Johnny Brennan, the flyouts are abundant so far. Now it's 2 up, 2 down here in the ninth. Narvaez trying to keep this game alive for the Flying Squirrels, but the third out of the inning on the fly ball into the outfield will secure the victory for the Yard Goats. Wanted to try something a little bit different with our prospect games today. I still think I prefer the method we mostly use, focusing on one prospect through multiple games, but it was a fun little change up here to see everybody for one game. Ultimately, not a ton of offense to speak of in this game, but we did see Johnny Brennan with a pretty impressive performance. At least through the first 6 innings for sure. Probably should have been subbed in for after that, if you ask me at least. Let's now talk about the final draft preview here in the last week of scouting, week 14. In terms of where we are at, we have the number 4 pick, and I have some players that I would take there. In terms of how they're ranked by our scouts, the best player in the class is Jason McDonald, a lefty pitcher. You know, we need another lefty. All we really have is Herb Reyes, and so adding more options as lefties is a good priority. And Jason McDonald, not going to have great strikeouts and control, but going to have excellent break. Going to have good walks and hits per 9. Velocity's in a pretty good spot. Stamina will be okay, likely low 70s, which is enough, but nothing too great. Going to have a lot of control on his curve and his slider. 6'5", 243 pounds. McDonald could certainly be a good option for us. Another guy I like at 4 as a pitcher is Eric Sloan, another lefty here. He has a little bit more of a well-rounded skill set, maybe not the defined strengths as much as McDonald here, but should have all of his per 9s kind of in the 50s and 60s, so a good, well-rounded place to start. Another guy, stamina not going to be excellent with him, but good break. His control will be his weak points. 4-pitch mix looks pretty good with him as well. So if we have, pitcher on the mind with number 4, I got 2 players that I like. We're really looking to add a lefty this year, and this is the best draft for it. The other guy I would take at 4 is Juan Rocha. Didn't really scout anybody else position players wise that I would take that high, but Rocha here is a very good offensive prospect at 18 years old. You love the low injury risk, but what you really like is that he has a well-rounded offensive game. He's not going to be elite in any one category, but he's not really going to have weaknesses. Going to have really good discipline. Not going to be a great defender though. That's why he's going to be, first base or left field, I think would be the 2 spots that I would feel comfortable playing him long term, but could be another good bat to add to the future of our lineup. In this draft, I just really, there's got to be a position player that I didn't scout that's good. I just have that feeling. Just only Juan Rocha is the only option. Feels not right, but there are some drafts out there that don't have that good of position players. Not saying that Rocha isn't good. He is good offensively, but he would be probably the worst player we've taken in the first round so far this year. But I probably say the same of a guy like McDonald or Sloan. I think McDonald's could be really good. We'll just have to see. I'm pretty non-committal between the three right now. I think there's a good argument to be made for any of them. Heading now to 32, there's one starting pitcher that I would take at 32. Ken Trayer here, a lefty here, just because he's so well liked by our scouts. The problem is he's really similar to Reyes in the fact that he's got terrible hits per nine. And so if we have two lefties in the organization and they both have terrible hits per nine, I would just rather have maybe a lefty with a little bit more of a complementary skill set to Herb Reyes rather than somebody with a very similar game. Apart from that, I really actually am looking to draft a closer high in this class. And in fact, we're going to be scouting some extra closers. So far, we've scouted 3. And I think I like all of them. Jason Vargas, going to be absolutely elite in his hits per nine. Now, he's going to have really bad walks per nine. That is very dangerous. But he's going to be so good everywhere else that maybe you could swing it. Running fastball, changeup, curveball, slurve, splitter. He's going to have pretty good control on all of those. It's just the walks per nine are going to be in the 30s, and that's going to really be rough. But at least 65 overall here with mid-B potential. Likely going to be more kind of high 60s overall, maybe low 70s with high B potential. That's a good guy to get at 36 if you can swing it, should he make it. Roger Post, another guy I would take at 32 pretty comfortably here. A very well-rounded skill set from him. Lefty, good hits per nine, throws really hard, 2-seam, 4-seam, curveball, and a slider for him at age of 20 years old. Good break. And then DeMarcus Durham here, who has velocity in the 70s, really good hits per nine once more. His home runs per nine is low, which is unfortunate, but a cutter, changeup, curveball, slider. I really like all these guys. And I would take any of them at 32. We will be scouting some more. I think we'll scout one more closer this week. And I'm having troubles deciding who it should be. I don't think it's going to be Yang, just because walks per nine look a little low and home runs. That's a combination I'm not sure I love. And we'd get the least percentage from him compared to everyone else, him being 19 years old. So it's probably between Kenny Argue and Rich Walsh. And I think it's actually going to be Walsh just because despite the fact that he is lower on the MLB board than Argue, he's actually jumped him a spot, which maybe means he is going to be a better player. I'm not 100% sure that's true, but I think that can be a tiebreaker here. Could be an excellent strikeout closer. In terms of the depth of this pitching class, there's actually not a lot of guys with that, really high potential, but going to be a long-term development project. It's probably one of the fewest I've seen in a draft. One of them is Ralph Gilmore, who is our highest rated discovery player. I'm actually going to use the last week of scouting on him as well. But after that, it's really Eric Suzuki is the only other guy that kind of fits that mold. There are a couple of guys that are more of the high floor, low ceiling players, like Costello would be one of those players. And we've got guys like, where are they listed here? Like Meza here, gonna have a good overall to start, but not really gonna have a high ceiling. Same with Madsen, same with Lozano. So there's plenty of those high floor, low ceiling pitchers, just not a ton of those high ceiling pitchers in this class after the top of the draft. So not going to be a ton of value, I think, past, the top 100 in starting pitchers, which is usually where we can find some hidden gems. Relievers, we discovered a couple guys. Vinny Oliveros is ranked 16th by our scouts here, so he could be a fun pick late. Of course, we don't usually put scouting resources into our levers. Hoffman here in the top 100. So there'll be some options there. And then position player wise, the only guys we really scouted past the first round were the guys that we discovered. There's Gregorio Dominguez, who we put a week of scouting into. He is ranked 56 by our scouts. Could have good contact and plate skills, decent speed as well. Not going to be much of a defender. Kind of on the opposite spectrum is Benji Avalos, who is all defense here, with maybe the potential to hit at least righties decently enough. I like those guys. Down the board a bit, there's Alex Cruz, gonna be somebody who probably starts out with a pretty decent overall, just not gonna get much better from it. He could have some serious speed and stealing abilities with decent contact and play skills as well. So I was really hoping to find, you know, that Jason Lindsay type, that future leadoff guy with good defense and good speed. I didn't really find it at the top of the class, but maybe we could find someone like Alex Cruz who could offer that to us down the board. And then the other player that I found was Derek Trapp here, who wasn't nearly as good as I was hoping for when we initially scouted him. When he was initially scouted, he was ranked like 38th, and then he dropped down to 83rd. So, but he's a switch hitter. Could be somebody we take very late in the class. So if I had to just kind of give an overall summary of what this class is, I think not going to be the strongest class that we've dealt with, which is unfortunate because this is the draft that we have 5 picks in the top 78. Would love to be more confident in this class than I am. At the end of the day, though, I think we will have options down the board from our discovery players. So I think we'll make pretty good use of our top 100 picks. Just maybe not the top end talents that I've been able to find in the previous drafts, but I'm excited for this draft nonetheless. I think we should be able to add some contributors, and then we're just gonna, I don't know, discover some pitchers in the East for this last week, see if we can't find any other hidden gems for later in the class. Now we will look here at where the team is at today's date, July 4th. The team is 42-48 on the year. Rafael Murillo on a hot streak, up to 22 home runs. His power versus righties is still down, but it was down like -3 a month ago. So it's going back up a bit. He's up to 95 contact versus lefties, which is pretty elite, and hitting just under 300. Ethan Salas gonna be back in a week or two. He was injured in the live stream. He had a 1 to 2 month injury. He is on his way back. His ratings are looking really, really good so far. Hitting going up, particularly against lefties. He's now becoming pretty much a better hitter against lefties, which was not what I was expecting him. Chase Dollander has his ERA under 4 here. Let's go position by position. I think that'll be easier for me. Jose Berto, 3.52 ERA with a 1.23 whip. He is continuing to get better as the season goes along. Neil Dorsey, I think it's officially time for us to consider putting him in AAA. In fact, I think I'm going to do it right now. He's spent long enough in AA. He's dominated it long enough, especially as a hitter, but even as a pitcher, he's come a long way. It's time for him to play in AAA. James Ungerer, he is on a cold streak. His ERA is now over 3 for the first time, but still playing well. Yohan Blanco, these two good players, both on cold streaks, but still having excellent years. Herb Reyes, another guy on a cold streak. Our pitching staff is just not doing too well right now, but he's still having himself quite the year, up to 70 overall. Another guy who we should probably get up to AAA. In fact, we're going to do it right now. I'm just going to use this stat update period to bring the guys that deserve it. I think Herb Reyes is one of them. Johnny Brennan having an excellent year. I think he's close to a AAA call-up. Hernandez still needs work. Chris Benoit actually been pretty good in a long relief role for us. Put him there after he got back from injury. For our relievers, we have Mauri Lozano, who's played really well in 47 innings for us so far. That's been an excellent bullpen selection for us. Getting some ratings into the 70s, which you just love to see. Other relievers, we got Cole McCracken, who is doing awesome at AAA so far this year in his 23 innings pitched. 22 saves, so just 2 blown. For him, Dusty Coleman, pretty solid closer here for us at the AA level. And then Jeff Ramirez is getting better. He had a pretty rough start, and it's starting to come back down for him. In terms of catchers, we have had Drew Romo playing in place of the injured Ethan Salas. Hasn't been good. We're really excited for the return of Salas for sure. Omar Figueroa, 271 average with 17 homers. If he wins Rookie of the Year, we will be editing his potential, and hopefully that can help his development. Seeing a lot of negatives there despite his very strong play to begin his career. Javis has been good for us as well. Kyle Brown on a cold streak. He had that average around the 270s not too long ago, but it's back down to 250. OPS back to low 700. Not the strongest of rookie campaigns, but also just not terrible, like enough to keep him up there. And then Raymond Park, not batting great, but we knew he was going to struggle this year in AA a little bit. Wanted to give him a challenge. Thompson on a hot streak. He's got his average up to 261. Last I checked, he was in the 240s. So he's doing well. Got that contact versus righties up by 3, which you love to see. And playing decently enough. Back when he was in the 240s, I was a little bit worried about him. But 260s is a better spot. Already talked about Murillo. Jordan Beck, 8 homers, 252. Really a position that I think we gotta look to upgrade at some point. And if possible, of course. Logan Cerny, +9 power versus lefties is pretty nice. Brian Doe, 6 homers, 244 average. Doing good against righties, but not so much against lefties this year, it looks like. He's getting to a point where he might get a call back up to AAA really soon, even though that average isn't great. I think we keep him in AA for the time being. And then Clemente Herrera up here, not doing much in terms of developing the contact, but the power is developing a little bit here for him. +2 arm strength, which is already a strength of his. So there you have it. That's the roster update here to end off the episode. Next time you see me for this series, it will be the draft. I'm excited. Let me know who some of your favorites are, and I'll see you then. Go Rockies.